What's going on, everybody? Lucas and Rohan here, Counterpunch Pod, ready to break down UFC 310. Looking forward to it. We haven't been on here in about 3 weeks. We had UFC 309, then we took a break for a week, and then there was a break of UFC, and now we're here. We're back, and we're ready to break down some motherfucking fights. A great card. Obviously, it's a pay-per-view. Not an amazing pay-per-view, but there are some banging fights, and I'm really looking forward to breaking it down. Rohan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I'm very excited for this card. Obviously, not too much name value for people that are newer to the sport. Might not know some of the fighters in the featured bouts, but man, I am looking forward to some high level MMA this weekend, especially in the main event. We got the introduction of Asakura to the UFC. It's going to be very fun. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm very excited. How about you? How you doing, bro?
Everything's good in the world, despite a few health issues that we're pushing past.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, man. Glad you're better.
Yeah, we're a little bit better. We're pushing through. But yeah, everything's good. It's snowing where we are. No docks.
Finally.
Fucking blizzarding. Yeah, I mean, just look at the outdoors. Kind of crazy.
I don't even know it's snowing right now.
Yeah, it's snowing, dude. How crazy is that? A little late here. What time is it right now? 10:55. So probably won't be here for too long. But then again, it is pay-per-view, so we're gonna give. We're gonna lock in. We're gonna lock the fuck in. We're gonna give you guys a wonderful breakdown. Yeah, let's look at this card. I'm gonna pull it up on Tapology real quick. The card before this was in China at 3 a.m. Gosh, that was.
I was gonna say, bro, I wanted to watch that so bad. There was no way I could have watched that main event. I think it went down at what, like 6 a.m.
No, the main event was at like 8:30. The main event was
okay. Well, I could have woke my ass up for that. I could have woke my ass up for that. But I still watched it back, and what a performance from Petr Yan. He has become one of my favorite fighters, and he's just, I mean, he's so technical. And I think we both picked. I mean, we didn't do the stream obviously, but we both, were in agreement that he would get his hand raised, and I'm just glad he's back in the, on a little winning streak now. Song Yadong and Davison Figueiredo in the rear view, and now he's looking for another title shot. So it was a good performance.
Sorry, we're live on Twitch for the first time. I want to make sure it's good. Yeah, it looks like we're good.
Are we?
Everybody join on Twitch. The Counterpunch Pod. Okay.
I'm ready.
Let's break down some fights. How about that? Sounds good?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, yeah, motherfucker. You can see?
Mm-hmm.
UFC 310. How many fights? 14 fights. It's a lot of fucking fights. Let's get into it. First fight on the card. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Dresky. Lucas Dresky is awful. He is awful, 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 awful. With that being said, should Kennedy Nzechukwu ever be minus 650 in any fight in the UFC besides maybe Chris Barnett? No. Kennedy will probably win this fight, but in my eyes, Dresky is an auto bet. You have to bet him here. He is like kind of a natural heavyweight compared to Nzechukwu, who seems to like kind of be forcing this whole heavyweight thing. We've seen him fight at 205 a bunch of times and have some success as well. Knocked out Ion Cutelaba in a main event. That was probably the worst main event of all time when it comes to talent. That or like Aspen Ladd versus Norma Dumont. That was awful too. But yeah, Nzechukwu, he's coming off a win against Chris Barnett, in which anybody would have KO'd Chris Barnett on that day. Fight before that, he lost me a shit ton of money when I decided to parlay him at big money, minus 700 against Ovens St. Preux. We all know Ovens St. Preux is on the steroids nowadays, and I forgot about that, and I placed Nzechukwu at chalk and parlays and lost money. Shouldn't have done that, and I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to do it here. He's at chalk again, and I could totally see him putting on a stinker. Again, Dresky has a horrible chin, but one thing about Dresky is he's got solid boxing, and I don't think Nzechukwu has the best counter boxing. Like, he kind of wants to just pick you apart from the outside with this kickboxing. I feel like if Dresky can get in and get out, he can land some shots and make this a close fight. Obviously, I'm picking Kennedy Nzechukwu to win this fight, considering how bad Dresky is, but I will also 100%, as a matter of fact, I've also already placed a small bet on Dresky just because this line is just what are we doing? What are we doing with this line? It makes no sense. But I also like the over 1.5 fight starts round 2. I feel like those are also really good bets. I think this fight might go the distance, as a matter of fact. I just don't see Kennedy finding a finish. And yeah, he's the only one that's possibly finding a finish. So yeah, I'm talking too much for this fight. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I see where you're coming from. Looking at it from the odds perspective, I agree. There's no world in which Kennedy and Nzechukwu should ever be a -600. And I mean, he's been a chalk price before, and he has not come through. So it wouldn't be a shock, as you're kind of laying out right here, to see him lose this fight. But at the same time, man, this guy, Lucas Brzeski, I feel like we've talked about this every time we bring him up. Every time we are forced to cover one of his fights, he's just one of the worst heavyweights on the roster, one of the worst heavyweights that I've actually seen in the UFC. I mean, his only win that he has in the UFC is against Walter Walker, who we know, I mean, is one of the biggest frauds that we've seen in the last couple of years. So, I mean, the Mick Parkin loss got knocked out very early. He looked really bad. Waldo Acosta, whatever his name is, Cortez Acosta, sorry, he got knocked out in that one as well. Knocked out or went to split decision with Martin Boudet, another heavyweight that's on the lower end of the spectrum. And then Carl Williams was the only another fight where it's a low level fight, but he came out and just laid an egg. And for Kennedy and Nzechukwu, somebody that's moving up to heavyweight, he again that Chris Barnett fight, we can kind of throw it out the window. I mean, he won the fight, but Barnett got hurt. I do think that he would have still won that fight had Barnett stayed healthy. But
100%.
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
in the fight. I mean,
for sure. But I mean, look, we looked at that fight as soon as it got made between those two, and we both looked at each other and we're like, "What is this fight?" Because like we love Beast Boy, but that was not even a conceivable fight for him to win. And I think this is the same thing for Lucas Brzeski. I understand your concerns about the price, and I mean, for any Kennedy and Nzechukwu fight, you can't be comfortable laying that much money. But look, Brzeski, I mean, he has every advantage, especially moving up in weight. He's going to have a significant speed advantage. I think he's going to be more well-versed. I think his grappling is a little underrated. I mean, he has a standing guillotine choke. He's had a finish from back mount before. Like, he's able to hold solid dominant positions on the ground. And Lucas Brzeski has zero wrestling whatsoever. He gets taken down and just kind of lays there.
Will Kennedy be able to take him down, though?
I think he might be able to, just based off of the fact that he's going to have such a big, and you're right, he's not the type to like engage in a firefight. He is very conservative in his approach. He likes to stand on the outside, pick you apart, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have power. We know he has power. He knocked the fuck out of Carlos Ulberg. And obviously it took him some time to get there, but he is somebody that is calculated when he wants to be. I think the Ovince St. Preux fight, I think we can look at that as an outlier in terms of he didn't show up whatsoever, but now he's feeling a little better. He's got some momentum now. And I think this is just such an easy fight for him if he locks in and just, and sticks to the game plan. I just don't see Lucas Brzeski winning this fight. So I think I'm also rambling a little too much about this one, but I am in agreement. Kennedy and Nzechukwu will come out with his hand raised for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to even respond. I don't want to talk about this fight too much, but I'll be watching for gambling purposes. Let's just say that. We got my boy FBA G League official, always in the chat. Interesting name, though. FBA. What's
I like it, man.
What's behind the name? Very interesting.
Hey, man, he's right, though. We got to do the parlay stream, too, though. Shout
out to the Westchester Knicks. Always put on. They need to call up TJ Warren to my Knicks, wherever they are. Boom. So they got to call him up. Knicks need some depth. The GOAT UFC breakdowns. Can y'all announce when y'all are doing these more in advance? Because I miss them sometimes. 100%. The problem is it's most of the time it's spontaneous as fuck. Like, we planned on doing this at 2:00 in the afternoon, and then one of us, I won't say who,
I'll take it.
Parlay live tomorrow. We keep fucking trolling.
We can do it tomorrow, man. I'm down to do it in the
tomorrow
daytime.
Or Friday, because I do want to give this live a little bit of time to marinate. So either tomorrow night or like Friday afternoon, we'll do it. But definitely, because I missed the parlay show, and especially this weekend, I think there are a lot of good betting opportunities. So definitely want to do that. It was a 2v2. Okay, gotcha. All right, let's move on. Next fight on the card. Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. I mean, this is another line that it's like, what are we doing? It says Hooper's -770 here. Right now, he's -1,300.
What?
I mean, that is fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Look, Chase Hooper will most likely finish Clay Guida here, right? Most likely submit him. Maybe he gets a TKO off taking the back. But dude, Clay Guida can win this fight 100% if he can stuff some takedowns. If this fight stays striking, Roland, look, I know Hooper looked great in his last fight against Borshev on the
Mhm.
feet, but Borshev has such a horrible fucking chin, dude. I mean, such a bad chin, and that just fight he got dropped once, and he just wasn't the same that entire fight. I'm telling you, Clay Guida does not have a bad chin. I think Clay Guida. I mean, this has to be another auto bet for me. You're giving me plus 750 on Clay Guida. I mean, if this is a striking fight, Guida is arguably the better striker here. Chase Hooper is not some guy that's chaining together fucking takedowns like some beast. You usually just fall into his guard. I mean, let's look at his takedown accuracy stats. What is it sitting at? Nothing crazy, I guarantee you that. 24%. Clay Guida, what's your takedown defense? He's kind of just like a ball of, athleticism. But he's got a 67% takedown defense. Dude, I think Clay Guida can win this fight, in my opinion. He can 100% win this fight. I mean, this line is fucking insane. This might be the worst line of all time. Is that correct? Like this, in what world should Chase Hooper be minus 1,300 here unless somebody knows about Guida coming into this fight with an injury or some shit?
I mean, I think it's just a lot of things factoring in the age, obviously, how good Hooper's looked. Like, obviously, the concerns about Borshev's chin, but that aside, I mean, he looked really good in that performance. I think better than anybody could have expected. So I think there's a lot factoring in it. But at the same time, I mean, you're right. This is a very winnable fight for Clay Guida, even in his old age, in the latter stage of his career.
Yeah. Who do you got?
Me personally, I'm still going to take Chase Hooper, and I understand. Look, the thing about Clay Guida is all his fights they kind of look the same, and these two actually have what the fuck? He lost. Excuse me, he lost to Chase Hooper in grappling via calf slicer, so they do have a little bit of history, I guess you could say. But in terms of Clay Guida's recent UFC run, I mean, it's loss after loss. Well, he beat Scott Holtzman, who. But look, Chase Hooper, I think recently he has shown just vast improvements in his game all around. And we already know how dangerous this guy is. Yes, he's not going to be that guy he's not going to be that guy to put an immense amount of pressure on you, get you up against the fence and chain wrestle you. He's not that guy because his frame doesn't allow for that. But he finds innovative ways to take the fight to the ground. Like, I could definitely see him jumping guard or just ankle picking. Like, he does stuff like that because he is a seasoned grappler, as good as it gets technically. So I just think that overall in a 3-round fight, I think Clay Guida even like 2-3 years ago, he could drag this into deep waters, and that's where Chase Hooper tends to struggle. But 42 years old, man, like, I just can't predict. Like, I'm not telling you put your money on Chase Hooper, especially not at that price, but I'm saying in my eyes, like, there's no way you can take a 42-year-old Clay Guida to drag Chase Hooper into the deep waters, especially not after what I just saw out of Chase Hooper in his last fight, which was a calculated, improved striker. And obviously he's got that grappling in his back pocket. So I think he's got more ways to win this fight. I could see him even winning a decision if it gets to that. But I just think eventually he will get this fight into a dominant position because Clay Guida, I mean, yeah, he's got solid takedown defense. I don't think a lot of these guys that he's been matched up with recently, and the UFC tries to make fun fights with this guy. That's what they do. So a lot of these guys are willing to just stand and trade with Clay Guida because they know that's what's going to entertain. But I think Chase Hooper is smarter than that. I think he knows that he has a bright future, and this is a good stepping stone to have under his belt. So I'm going to pick Chase Hooper, but I understand what you're saying about the price.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I really think Guida has a strong chance here because I pray Guida doesn't try to engage in grappling here. I mean, as soon as Guida shoots a takedown, he's live to get finished, 100%. But if this fight stays striking, I mean, he is 100% live here, and this line is just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Chase Hooper by finish. But would I be shocked if Guida wins this fight? No.
No. You would not be shocked.
All right, let's move on. First, okay, good. I was just testing that the Twitch chat is working. It's working. Shout out my boy Will in the chat, William Modica. We appreciate you very much. Okay, let's move on. Next fight on the card, we've got Michael Chiesa versus Max Payne Griffin. This is probably one of the hardest fights to call. One of the probably, if not one of the, it's the.
This is tough. This one's
It's
tough.
a tough one to call. Two guys, old. Max Payne Griffin, almost 40. Chiesa's 37. Chiesa had 3 straight losses to Luque, Brady, Holland, and they beat Tony Ferguson by sub his last fight. Look, Chiesa on the feet is fucking shit. Like, he is a horrible, horrible striker. However, I mean, if he can just get a hold of Max Griffin, I think he can dominate this fight. I mean, Chiesa, there's a reason he was a ranked fighter at one point in his career is because he is so fucking dangerous on the ground. He made it so far in the UFC while having 0 striking. I mean, it makes no fucking sense. But he's that dangerous on the ground. I mean, it's impressive. And you look at his 3 losses, right? He took down Vicente Luque, was dominating him, and then got caught in a darce while getting up. He was fighting. That was a very close fight with Sean Brady. I mean, he won round 3, I believe. And we know Sean Brady is very, very good. So obviously, no shame in that. Got darced by Kevin Holland. No shame in that. I mean, there's no shame in these losses. I feel like Chiesa's, fighting the better opponents, obviously, considering he was ranked as of a few years ago. I don't know. As an underdog, I feel like this is a good bet. On the feet, it's a wash for Griffin, and on the ground, it's a wash for Chiesa. So who will get their way? I'll say Chiesa because here's what the difference is for me here, Rohan. I'm going to pick the fighter who excels at one position. Max Griffin is like okay everywhere. He's okay striker. He's okay on the ground. But what Chiesa has is he's got a fantastic ground game, and this is another fight in which I do want to check out the percentages when it comes to takedown accuracy and defense. So Chiesa, I know he doesn't 51% takedown rate. That's not bad at all. That's actually pretty damn good that he gets takedowns 51% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem here with Max Griffin is he has a 70% takedown defense. But I feel like, man, if all he has to do is get him down once in a round, and he's got some damn good control. Yeah, I'm going to pick Chiesa. I think he does good work on the ground. And, yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you here, man. Look, what it comes down to for me, I just think that Michael Chiesa, and you were mentioning it before, his grappling has kept him in that upper echelon of the lightweight division of the lightweight welterweight division for some time now. Like, he is somebody that has been taking on competition like RDA, Neil Maxey, Carlos Condit, Anthony Pettis. Like, these are names that we as UFC fans are very familiar with. And he's seen them all. Like, he's seen so many styles. I mean, we're talking about Jim Miller, Beneil Dariush. I can go on. I mean, Jorge Masvidal, Ala Quinta. He's been around, and he's still the younger man in this fight by 3 years. What I think people fail to realize about Max Griffin, he doesn't fight as often. He tends to be a little sporadic in terms of his scheduling. But look, he's 39 years old. He's been in this promotion for a long, long time. Not long time, 2016, so not that long. But man, he's been around the block. I mean, he's never
long.
What?
It's pretty long. It's
pretty long, and he's never reached that tier that Chiesa's been in his whole career. He's never reached that tier of fighting consistent, top 5 to top 8 talent. I mean, there's guys that he has beaten. I think, there's a good win over, but look, a washed Carlos Condit. I mean, he lost to Neil Magny, beat Jeremiah Wells in an awful, awful fight. I mean, it was terrible looking from the second round on. It was horrible. And I think that's something else that Chiesa has. I think he's going to have a little bit of a cardio advantage. And like you were mentioning, all of his losses, there's not really any shame. He tends to get caught in that darce, which I hate, but he doesn't really have to worry about that at all with Max Griffin. I mean, he is going to be looking to take this fight to the ground from the onset of the fight. And I just think in all honesty, Max Payne Griffin, I think at this stage, at 39 years old, I'm going to trust Michael Chiesa to be able to do enough to hang with Max Payne Griffin and not get caught. It's not like this guy gets knocked out a lot. It's not like we have a lot of questions about his chin. I think he can still come in here and be competitive enough on the feet to use his hands to maybe get inside and force a clinch situation. And eventually work his way to it might take a couple rounds, but that's how Michael Chiesa operates. Like, he is not going to excuse me, he's not going to rush anything. He'll take his time, and I think eventually he'll get to the back or get to half guard and look for a submission. Eventually, he'll find a finish. I just think that Max Payne Griffin, I'm not going to pick him here at 39 years old. He has not done anything in his career to warrant me picking him over somebody like Chiesa, who, like you said, excels in one position. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough fight to call, so I don't really want to say more, but I agree. Let's move on. We got the one and only Kai Asakura. The main event is in the chat. What?
I knew
Kai, you got to be like game planning, like lock in, dude. You got to fight.
You got to fight in 4 days, man. He's over here watching us break it down.
Hey. Pantoja is scared of what he's capable of. But listen to this. He's going to take Pantoja's belt. He's skipping a weight class. He's skipping Morab. He's going straight to Ilya. I like
straight to Ilya is crazy, man. Hey, I mean, look, Kai Asakura has had trouble making 125 in the past. We'll get into that a little later. So he's a bigger guy for the division. So hey, maybe he's got that. Maybe he got it like that. We'll see.
FBI said he lost the Manel Cup by TKO. We got some beef. We got some beef in the chat. All right. Yeah, we love these episodes. Really fills in the gaps of the fighters I do not know. We really appreciate that. That's what we're here for. And let's move on. Next fight on the card, Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. I think Joshua Van wins. I think he should be a bigger favorite. You know, maybe minus 165 is right. I got him at minus 150. This is a bet for me. This is a money line bet. I'll give it out right here, right now. For the people that are not in the Discord and that only watch the lives, here you go. I do think Van gets this done pretty easily, to be honest. I mean, how does Durden win the fight? How? I'm going to ask you that question. How does Cody Durden win this fight, Rohan? What is his path? Because it's a question I'm asking myself. I really can't figure it out.
I think there's a path. I think that we definitely got to acknowledge that there's a path, because with Joshua Van, as we have both, found out in tougher ways than some in the past, Joshua Van, he takes the first round off sometimes. And that, I think, will not be a recipe that he wants to use in this fight. I think, like, if he's going to sit there and download data like he likes to do, and take his time and work the body slowly, that could create an opportunity for Durden to slowly but surely win the judges over. And the first round, if it's close, but you can't really tell, and they go Durden, and then Josh Van has a solid second round. Maybe he rocks him a little bit, but then the third round, Durden gets him down and then holds him down for 2 minutes of the round, and then it's a close decision, because on the feet we know that Josh Van was piecing him up, but then at the same time, when it counted at the end of the fight, like, what happened? Durden is good, man. Like, I don't want to get caught up in. I love Josh Van. I'm right with you, man. Like, I love that guy. I never thought he would get knocked out the way he did against Charles Johnson, but I think there's a path for Durden. Like, I definitely think that he could win this fight. We both know who the better striker. We all know who the better striker is in this fight. It's always, all day, every day, Josh Van. He is very technical with the way he enters the pocket, mixes up the body shots. His head movement is very slick. He's not. That's why I was so surprised that Charles Johnson caught him, but it was a perfectly timed uppercut that he got caught with, and a great combination from another great striker. I think he's the better striker than Durden, but Durden has a clear wrestling advantage. So is Josh Van's takedown defense solid enough to keep him off? Like, is I guess the question for all 3 rounds. But that first round is the only thing that's worrying me, because like, he's a slow starter. He's a slow starter.
I get he's a slow starter, but the thing is, look, Cody Durden's entire fight style is similar to Joshua Van, but it's not at the same time. What I mean by that is they fight completely different. Van's a guy who's got very clean striking and great takedown defense, and Cody Durden's going to pressure you and shoot takedowns. But at the same time, both fighters get better as the fight goes on. And when you have fighters like that, you always want to take the fighter with the better striking and the takedown defense. And that's what I'm doing here, because they're both going to be working in rounds 2 and rounds 3. Mm-hmm. And Durden's going to be spamming those takedowns, and Van's going to be defending them. Maybe he'll get a takedown or 2. But look, this is going to be a situation of damage versus control. And as long as the judges have eyes, the damage will trump the control here by far. And I think Joshua Van wins this fight pretty clearly. Maybe he takes round 1 off here. Maybe this round 1 is close. But as the fight goes on, I think Van just starts to piece him up round 2, round 3. Maybe gets a late finish, honestly. I like Joshua Van here a lot. I'm taking his money line. What's your official prediction here?
I've been on the fence with this one, but I am gonna agree. I'm gonna go Josh Van. I just think at the end of the day, we'll see Cody Durden win some minutes. Like we will see him. He's got some great leg kicks that he uses. He's got some great just distance management in general. He'll pump that jab and work behind it. But I think we will be the offensive guy in the first round. That said, I think that Josh Van has enough in the chamber, enough in his arsenal to be able to catch Cody Durden at some point in this fight and hurt him. And I think that what you said at the end, and we kind of go back to this as like a default way to predict some fights, but sometimes it is a bit just damage or control. Like Cody Durden, when he gets Josh Van down, is he gonna have enough to finish him? I don't really think so. At the same time, Josh Van might not win, the majority of the round, but at the same time, when he connects, he'll hurt Cody Durden. So I do think that he'll land enough of the time to win this fight. Like I love the way you broke that down. As the fight gets grows longer, both of these guys are going to get better. So I think it's smart to place your trust in the guy that can stop the takedowns, and then when the fight is on the feet, will have the advantage. So I agree.
Yeah, I like Van. Let's lock in Van. Second stream asking for a counterpunch topology group. It's actually a good idea. We should do that. I love
topology. I make an account, bro. I don't even have an account on topology.
I love topology, so I'd 100% do that. As a matter of fact, as soon as the stream ends, I will do it. If you guys were to cook a locked parlay, what would it be? I'm thinking Gain and Anders. Each of you do your own. For me, I'll say the parlay that will make you a fuck ton of money, and I'm gonna make this is already recorded as a video that's coming out tomorrow. Cyril Gane, Dominic Reyes. Put your.
I love the Dominic Reyes, bro. Dominic Reyes, if he loses, we'll get into it, man. But we've been on that train before. We're going again, baby.
Cyril Gane, Dominic Reyes. What do you got?
You want me to throw some in there, some different ones?
He's asking each of you do your own, so. But if you have the same one, you have the same one.
I'll switch it up a little bit. But I'll take look, man, I'll take Gane. I think I'm gonna throw Gane in there, but at the same time, I'm gonna take Bryce Mitchell. What's his money line looking like? Is it crazy? Oh my God, never mind. Damn, this is tough. I Brian Battle, that's one I'll take. Brian Battle, I think he beats Randy Brown. And then yeah, I think I like your did he pick Weidman?
Weidman Anders is like at first I was
he picked Anders. Yeah, I'm with Anders. I think you could throw Anders money line in there, do Gane, Anders, and who did I say? Battle. That's my guy. I think Battle is a lock, but we'll get into that later as well. But it's tough. We'll do a stream for that for sure. But I think Brian Battle, man, he's got what it takes to be a star. So for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Next fight on the card, we have Chris Weidman, Eric Anders, fight we were just talking about. Yeah, going into that fight, this fight was originally scheduled at UFC 309.
Yeah, we broke it down.
I put a good bet on Eric Anders, and then I thought about it a little more, and I still sided with Anders, but with a little less confidence. And then he pulled out of the fight due to a sickness. Yeah, I at this point, I really don't know. I mean, I'll pick Anders, but I'm not going to bet on him this time around. I mean, I'm worried. Was that sickness due to a weight cut? I mean, the guy is absolutely fucking massive.
Yeah, I mean, former NFL player, right?
Yeah, I mean, weight cuts are tough for the guys of his size. So I'm just going to stay away. I'll pick Anders. I think he's way more physical here, especially at this stage in both of their careers. But betting wise, I'm going to completely stay away. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to bet on Anders. I think Battle's the favorite, like minus 250. We'll get into that.
No. He's saying he's a dog. I think, as in like he's a dog.
Oh. I'm always thinking gambling over here, dude.
No, exactly. Hey, you correct us, Alex. Maybe we're wrong. I don't know. Is that your pick? Because I'm with you, man. I'm
gonna go Anders.
Yeah, look, this is tough to break down just based off all the fucking questions surrounding both guys. But Weidman's looks so bad. We haven't seen Anders in a little bit, but I just think the size, just the boxing in general. I think he'll have just stay away from the ground. Don't get involved in a wrestling exchange when you don't need to. Slowly work your way in and stick to the game plan. I think he doesn't do anything too crazy outside of himself. He pretty much has the same plan of attack every fight, and I think that Chris Weidman just at this stage is very diminished. So I'm gonna pick Anders. But again, like you said, man, this is just throw away this fight. This is the worst fight on the card for sure.
I agree. Simple. I don't really want to say anything else. Let's move on. Next fight on the card is a fight that I will say something about, and it's Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. Actually, I actually want you to go first here because this is a fight in which I'm having trouble picking. I don't understand.
Oh, not bad about that. Damn, my window's open. I get the motorcycle going crazy.
What the fuck just happened? I thought like a car crashed into your building.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the window was open. That motorcycle was not loud. That's my fault, everyone.
Why was that so loud?
That's my fault. It's right. No, my window is right next to the main street. So, hey, my apologies, everyone. Anyways, I will go first here to break this fight down. Look. First of all, let me say great fight between two guys that I think are pretty similar in the way that they fight. Brian Battle, long, rangy guy. He uses his range very well. And I think a little better than Randy Brown, which is a little foreshadowing. But I think Randy Brown, you got to respect what he brings to the table. He's got the same, length that I was talking about, but he's got unorthodox head movement. He kind of will play a little game of cat and mouse, kind of in and out with you, play that lead foot game. And then when he does, go into attack, he really commits and throws with, intent. And I think that's where I struggle to pick Randy Brown. I think that Brian Battle is a little more. He's got a better fight IQ. And I didn't even mention the wrestling, but because Brian Battle, he's also unorthodox in the way that he kind of mixes his disciplines together. He's not somebody that's going to traditionally wrestle you. But he will, take advantage of opportunities where he can get the fight to the ground, and he is very good at attacking submissions on the ground. I think that overall he's got a big wrestling and grappling advantage. I think Randy Brown is seasoned enough. Like, this guy has seen a lot of different styles, and he has some good grappling of his own, good submissions. But ultimately, I think that the nod there's got to go to Brian Battle, who's just, I think, on a better level there. And then the striking, I think he just uses his range better. I'm talking about the teeps at range. He'll pick at your body. He uses those leg kicks very well to set up his hands. And I just think that putting everything together, that's where I think that favors Brian Battle. And I think that he's a star in the making. A lot of people were doubting him against Kevin Jousset. He came back and won that fight. Ange Lusa, we know what happened, no contest, but he won that easily. AJ Fletcher, he's starting to build momentum. The Renault fight, I think it was a little too early for all that. I think if you throw that fight again today, I think Battle wins that. Randy Brown, look, man, 5 wins by sub, 7 wins by knockout. He's a fight finisher, but I don't see Brian Battle getting finished. And if this fight goes to a decision, I think Battle edges it out. So I'm going to pick him. I'm very confident there. I see this guy as a future contender for a lot of years. And I think Randy Brown's been around the block. So I'm going to take the up and coming guy. That's where I'm at.
I don't know. This one's tough. This one's very, very tough. I don't understand the line.
I didn't even see the line. What's the line?
Battle's minus 250.
Yeah, that's a little wide. I would say like minus 180, maybe max, like minus 170, 180 range, but 250 is a little egregious.
Yeah, I think a little crazy. I do think that, Brown has the height and reach advantage here, correct?
He does, but again, it's just like
he doesn't fight like he has the reach.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't avoid those crashes. He doesn't avoid those phone booth fights. Neither does Battle. I feel like because neither does he, to be honest. But he's a dog, man.
I'm gonna side with the dog. I'm probably not gonna put any money in this fight, but I'm gonna side with Battle because I just feel like Battle's inevitable. Like I like the way you broke it down. Like they're gonna get into a fist fight, and Battle's just inevitable. I don't know, but it's a tough fight to really break down. As I always say, there's some fights in which there's so many details that you got to go into to break it down. This fight, these guys are going to throw fucking leather. And I just think Battle's one that's going to be pressuring. And as I said twice already, he's inevitable. And I think I just think he gets the job done. I'm not putting any money on this. I wouldn't put any money on our breakdown here regardless, I think this is a tough fight to call, and I also think Battle shouldn't be this big of a favorite. With that being said, I will pick him to win this fight, but there are 100% better betting spots on this card. Let's move on. Next fight on the card, Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. For this line has been out for a while now. It's been like, because this fight was originally scheduled for 307, I believe was originally scheduled for. So we had a line back there. Now we have the line for 310. And I believe the line was around the same. Movsar around minus 200-ish. And at first I was thinking about an Aljo underdog bet just because he looked so fucking strong in his debut against Calvin Kattar. But then, Rohan, you go back and you watch Movsar's fight against Diego Lopez. You watch his fight against Arnold Allen. He's special. These inbreds, Rohan, they are special. I mean, that performance against Arnold Allen was fucking incredible. It was incredible. He looks so good. Just the way he's able to constantly put that pressure on you, chaining the takedowns. He's literally he is the closest thing that we've had to Khabib. Like, Islam is much different than Khabib, considering he's southpaw. He's got very, very good striking. Movsar is the closest thing to Khabib because, the striking isn't all there. He throws a lot of bombs. He just kind of throws those hooks, comes in throwing hooks, and then he'll chain those takedowns together. And he's got great control on the ground as well. He'll do those Dagestani hooks on the ground. He's literally a featherweight Khabib. It's kind of crazy. And it's also crazy that Movsar and Khabib were one weight class apart, although Movsar looks like a flyweight and Khabib looks like a fucking middleweight. But that's besides the point. Don't get me wrong, Aljo is very physically strong. But I just think Movsar has more fight IQ. I think he's far more talented. And I think the striking here will actually make the difference. I think the striking will make the difference. I think Movsar is better in the grappling, but Aljamain's stronger. So I think they kind of cancel out there. But Aljamain just has no striking. I just don't see him beating Movsar on the striking here. Movsar is going to come in with those hooks, and he's going to try to chain together those takedowns. And I just think he's going to do more in the judges' eyes. Unanimous decision, Movsar Evloev is my prediction.
Yeah, I could see a finish. I hate to say it. I love Aljo. I could see a finish. But I like the way you broke it down, bro. Like the striking advantage is going to be the difference in this fight for sure. And we can't act like. And I love Aljo, man. I kind of don't like that this is the fight that he's got to go through to get to that. But man, at this stage in his career, look, we've seen him hurt by Petr Yan. Obviously, we've seen him knocked out by Sean O'Malley. What you said about the fight IQ is spot on. Movsar is a smarter guy. He knows what to do in certain situations where Aljamain Sterling would otherwise lose himself. And we've seen that time and time again in these fights that he kind of just doesn't need to be like the Sean O'Malley fight. Of course, that was a fight where a lot of people were doubting whether he would show up. But the way he lost, ducking his head into such an obvious counter strike, like it was like, come on, man, just get your head out of your ass. Like I think that's what just turns me off of Aljo in this fight. And I think Movsar, that you mentioned the fight against Arnold Allen, he looked so good on the feet. The jumping knees he was landing, he was rocking Arnold Allen, who I thought would have a clear striking advantage. Still a very close fight, but still we saw an improved side of Movsar Evloev that will be on full display in this fight against Aljo, because on the feet, what is like Aljo, man, he's unorthodox as it is offensively, but then his defensive striking, his head movement, I think he's just a step behind sometimes. And then I'm very interested to see what this fight looks like if it eventually hits the mat. Like you said, Aljo's a very strong grappler. He's somebody that you never want to get a hold of your back ever, no matter who you are. But Movsar, I don't think will let that happen. I do think that he's like we keep saying, smart enough to be able to work his advantages. And I just think that overall, man, he's got more advantages, more ways to win this fight, especially just with a big gap in skill on the feet. I do think that exists. I think he's the more powerful guy, and he's just more fast and the faster and more put together fighter on the feet. So I'm going to side with Evloev as well. I hate to say it, but and look, Aljo could shock the world, and I would love that for him. But look, at this stage, undefeated fighter, you can't side against him. You're muted, I think. You're muted. My bad.
Sorry. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, not much more to be said. I 100% agree. FBA saying Randy has got good value. I agree. It's good value.
Good value.
There's a certain line you have to draw whether you actually take that value and bet on it. When it comes to Hooper versus Guida, yeah, I'm taking that plus 750. Will I take Randy Brown plus 150, plus 160, plus 170 here? I don't know. Because it's tough to see a path to victory. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually see a path to victory for Clay Guida at plus 750. Worst fight order of all time. Definitely.
Yeah, bro. Hey, man. Speak on that. Speak on that, bro.
Come on, you got a video comment about that,
Yeah,
right?
I just don't understand, bro. The disrespect. This is disrespect to have Luque Garimbo. No hate to Garimbo. I love the story. Luque is a veteran, but no way they should be ahead. No way Nate Landwehr Duho Choi. No way Bryce Mitchell Crum Gacy. Get that out of here, bro. This is a former champion, one of the best of the lower divisions of all time. Put some respect on his name. That shit is unbelievable, but whatever.
100%. All right, next fight, Vicente Luque versus Themba Garimbo. You know, we were talking earlier. As a matter of fact, I made a statement saying that Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida was the worst betting line I've seen all time.
Mm.
This might be worse. Themba Garimbo. I mean, Rowan, imagine I showed you this 3 years ago. That Themba Garimbo was a minus 170 favorite against Vicente Luque. What would you say to me?
Bro, I don't even think this dude was in the sport 3 years ago. That's I wouldn't even have believed you, bro. That like Luque is hey man, it goes to show like the trajectory of both of these guys' career. That's what I was trying to say. The trajectory. That's all I'll say. That's the reason for the line. Nonetheless, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. Here's the thing with this fight. It's tough because you really don't know what version of Vicente Luque you're going to get. I mean, he pulled up to that. In his last 2 fights, he's looked completely different. He's looked scared, you know? He fought RDA and just spammed takedowns. Like, since when have we seen that kind of game plan for Vicente Luque? We've never seen it. And then against Joaquin Buckley, I mean, the dude just got kind of wrecked. I mean, that was a horrible stylistic matchup for him, though. Especially coming off such a brutal knockout against Jeff Neal. He goes in, fights Joaquin Buckley, a guy that's pure muscle, pure athleticism, pure physicality, pure strength. I mean, you got Buckley as an underdog there. That was an incredible bet. But here he's fighting Themba Garimbo. And one thing about Luque is we'll never see any cardio problems from this guy. And we've seen Garimbo slow as the first 7.5 minutes go. I just think that the line doesn't make sense. Because does Garimbo finish him early? I just don't think so. How does Garimbo finish him early? Maybe he wins the first half of the fight, but how does he finish him early? And I feel like that's where this line's kind of based. Like Garimbo gets an early finish, but I don't think he does. Yeah, he got a first-round knockout against Pete Rodriguez, but Pete Rodriguez, I get that Vicente Luque, there's a chance that he's washed. But Pete Rodriguez, regardless, is no washed Vicente Luque. He's not even up to him, even at this stage in Vicente Luque's career. Look, I think that the longer this fight goes, the more it favors Luque, and the more that his veteran experience will show. Not only that, Themba Garimbo joined the UFC like 1.5 2 years ago. But Rohan, the guy is what? How old does it say there? I'm kind of far from the screen. What is he?
He's 32.
How old is he?
32, no?
33, about to turn 34 in a month and a half.
Oh.
Like, the guy is, like, exiting his prime. He's exiting it. He's already got bad cardio. We've seen him have bad cardio in every one of his fights. Look, I don't know. I think Vicente Luque, I think this line is awful. 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 I'm going to take the guy with the better cardio all day, every day, and I think that's what you should do. And the majority of the sports, in the majority of UFC fights you bet on. I get that Luque's chin could possibly be cooked. But since when is Themba Garimbo some knockout specialist? He knocked out Pete Rodriguez. That's it. You got to take a stab on Luque here, in my opinion. At first, I thought that Themba was the spot. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but this is a fight. It's interesting. It's really, really interesting. I'll
No,
let you
it is.
because I'm curious to what you have to say about this one.
I just have like the value is definitely on Luque because he's 33 years old. Like he feels washed because he's been in the promotion for so long and he's been in so many wars and he's taken so much damage that he just feels washed. And he has at times in recent fights looked unlike himself, unlike what we've become accustomed to seeing from him. But like Themba Gorimbo, it's tough to get a read on where he is and where Luque is. That's the only thing it is for me. It's because I would have expected Themba to finish Nico Price. He still looked really good for the most part, but it's not like he impressed you, right? I mean, Ramiz Brahimaj before that, that's like whatever. Pete Rodriguez is ass. Takashi Sato, he's not faced anyone that you could even compare to somebody like a Vicente Luque, who's got still at this point. I mean, look, even in those fights, like the Jeff Neal fight, it was a bad knockout, but he took some time off and he got back, and then he looked really good against RDA. And then the next fight, like he looked pretty good for the first round of the Buckley fight, and then got hammered. And it's just like I don't know. You kind of said it at the top, and I was thinking it. You took the words out of my mouth. Which Vicente Luque are we going to see? And I just don't know, man. I think at this stage, like RDA is not a guy that's going to put the pressure on you like I think somebody like a Themba will. I think that first round is going to be hell for Vicente Luque unless he grabs a hold of Themba and takes him down. I think that first round is going to be just a one-sided affair. I think Themba's going to come out with on full go mode. And it's not like he's a technical guy, don't get me wrong, but he's going to pressure Luque. I don't think Luque is going to be able to time everything. I think Themba could throw something to hurt Luque. And like we have a lot of questions about Luque's chin. So if that first round happens and it is an early finish, which is what some people do envision if this is a Themba win, then that's that's one way to get it done. But another opportunity or another avenue for victory for Themba is winning that first round so well and doing well enough in the second to get that one in the bag. Because like you said, I do think the cardio is on Luque's side. They're the same age, but Themba, man, I think I do think that he's going to put a motherfucking pace on Luque that he's not really ready for. Even Buckley doesn't really put and he is an aggressive fighter, but I think Themba's going to match that sort of intensity, and I think he finishes Luque, man. I hate to say that, and it's because he doesn't have the technicality, the technical skill to be able to finish somebody like Luque if they were in their prime, or even if it was like 2 years ago. But I think based off of what I've seen, I think there's been a gap since the RDA fight where he looked solid. And then what I saw in the Buckley fight, I just can't pick him with confidence after that. And I understand he is the better technical MMA fighter, but I'm going to side with Themba Gorimbo. Yeah, not confident at all. But I do think that he finishes him. I do. I think his chin is cooked.
I disagree.
Yeah, I know.
I already said my piece, so we'll just leave it at that. Let's move on.
It's a good fight. I kind of like it. It's a crazy step up, but it makes sense.
Oh yeah, the thing with a lot of these fights, Rohan, they're going to be so interesting from a gambling perspective.
Yeah,
so interesting. Not even that, just from a stylistic perspective, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Featured prelim: Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. I'll keep this one short and sweet. I think Anthony Smith is so washed. I mean, did he look awful in that fight against Dulice. He beat Petrino in arguably the biggest fluke of all time. Petrino is the biggest idiot known to mankind.
I remember that fight, bro. That's so funny.
Anthony Smith out a minute and a half later. The dumbest move we've ever seen in an MMA fight was Vitor Petrino shooting a takedown against Anthony Smith. Got brutalized against Roundtree. He beat Ryan Spann by split decision, but the real ones know he did not win that fight. Anthony Smith clearly lost that fight. That was a massive robbery. Lost to Walker, got pieced apart by Johnny Walker. Anthony Smith looked so bad in that in his last fight. You got to go Reyes. I mean, obviously Reyes is nowhere near the same fighter that he was when he fought John Jones, but he's going to win this fight. He's fresher. He's younger. Crazy to say, but I'd say he's more durable because every time Smith gets hit, recent, he's just getting hurt. I like Reyes. I think he wins this one. Parlay piece to the moon.
Look, man, we were on him together. Pause. We were both on the Dominic Reyes money line the last time out when he fought Dustin Jacoby. We both said, and he was he an underdog? Remind me, he was underdog
Um,
against
yeah,
Jacoby.
he was a pretty big underdog.
He
Yeah.
was a big underdog. I think like even as close as like plus 200. Regardless, man, he showed up in that fight after a bit of a hiatus, a bit of a break, and a needed break because we know like the trajectory he was on after he lost to Jones in that fight, and then he immediately gets knocked out bad by Jan Blachowicz, gets knocked out brutally by Yuri Prohaska, and then gets knocked out even worse somehow by Ryan Spence. So you're sitting there like, okay, this guy is his career just gonna take the worst turn we've ever seen. But we both were on that same page because we know that after taking such a long break, a 2-year damn near break, a year and a half, however long it was, he came back, recalibrated, and delivered a beautiful finish against somebody that was respected in the division. Anthony Smith ain't got no respect in the division at this point in his career, bro. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but the last couple of fights, I mean, he's looked horrible. Roman Dolce didn't look good. We mentioned the Petrino fight. He should. I mean, that was the dumbest shit ever. Got absolutely obliterated by Khalil Roundtree. I mean, he's too old to be hanging around that with these guys, and I do think that old in the UFC years, I'll say, because he's 36, not too crazy old, but he's washed, and we can see that with every passing fight of his. And I just think Reyes, he's feeling so good after that win that got his confidence back. That's what he was lacking, confidence. He's still a good fighter. And yeah, he's better than Anthony Smith. Not much more needs to be said about this one. I think it's going to be a wash. I think he finishes the fight as well.
I'm with you. Let's move on. Next fight of the card, we have Nate Landwehr versus Doo-Ho Choi. Yeah, on paper, this is an extremely interesting fight. And when we actually watch this fight, it's going to be an absolute war. I think that Choi hurts Landwehr early, badly. I think this fight's almost finished, kind of like the David Onama fight versus Landwehr. But, man, I mean, when this fight turns into a firefight, the longer it goes, I just feel like Nate Landwehr is going to wake up like he does in every single fight. And it's going to turn into who's more of a dog, and that's Nate Landwehr all day, every day, in my opinion. And I always want to bet on the dogs, man, especially when the skill level is pretty even. I'm going to take the guy who's more of a fucking dog, and that's Nate Landwehr. I trust him the longer the fight goes. That David Onama fight was absolutely electric, and I just think we'll see a similar performance here, if not better. I like Nate Landwehr. Money line. Give it to me.
Yeah, man. This is a tough one to call, man. Doo-Ho Choi, interesting career. Obviously had that crazy fight against Cub Swanson, then took a little bit after that to see him, and then lost 2 straight, Charles Dritter and Jeremy Stevens. But then a draw against Kyle Nelson. I watched that fight back. He did get rocked in that one again. And then beat Bill Algeo, who's somebody with a questionable chin, who's been on the decline recently. So I don't know how much stock to hold with that win. And Nate Landwehr, like you said, I mean, he's just the definition of a dog. He does not know the word quit. I mean, he won't tap, he'll go to sleep. That's the mentality that he fights with. I like that analysis of the fact that, like just plain and simple, who's less likely to quit if this becomes a war, which it's more than likely to become with these two guys that love to just throw down. Who's less likely to quit, I think, is clearly Nate Landwehr. But man, you just do have to be concerned about his style, the way he fights. I think Doo-Ho Choi, is clearly the better, more technical boxer, kickboxer. But Nate Landwehr, that doesn't matter to him, not even a bit. He gets inside. He finds a way to duck under, throw those looping overhand shots, and that's how he starts to mount his comeback once he, weathers that early storm. So I do think that we will see an early storm. I think Doo-Ho Choi is going to be, once he's got all his facilities with him, I think he'll hurt Nate Landwehr. But both of these guys are going to get hurt for, as long as this fight lasts. I think this is going to be a real dogfight. I could see a finish for Nate Landwehr later in the fight because I do think that he'll have what it takes to survive. But at the same time, I could see a situation where it goes has Nate Landwehr been to a decision? Yeah, 7 wins too. Yeah. He go to a decision pretty often. I could see a decision as well, a split decision. But in the end, I am going to side with Nate Landwehr, who I think you said it perfectly. He's the bigger dog in this fight. I feel like we're in agreement on a lot of these. I think the only disagreement we had was Themba, but that's where I'm leaning on this one. Doo Ho Choi hasn't been as active. He's not had as many, crazy moments. His only real high in the last couple of years was that win over Bill Algeo. Before that, the last one was 2016. And, so I think that, just activity, power, heart, all that, playing a factor. I think Nate Landwehr is where I'm safer putting my money, but I'm not touching this fight from a gambling perspective.
I am. I'm betting on the Nate Landwehr money line. I think it's a good bet. We got my boy, Bank Derek Nelson, always in the chat. Still who exactly he is. But shout out to him, my favorite drug addict, saying Anthony Smith is the best fighter in the division. Trust. Just a few fights away. You couldn't be more wrong. If there were odds for fight of the night, would probably be the front runner. Yeah.
Dude, but there's so many with that potential on this card, man. That's what I love about it. You got Movsar Aljo, I mean, that's less, but Brian Battle, Randy Brown, that's a great fight. Durden Van, great fight. Man, there's some bangers. Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, you never know. Some bangers on this card for sure.
I'm with you. Next fight in the card, Bryce Mitchell versus Crone Gracie. Crone Gracie does not deserve this fight. Sorry, this is going to be a 5-second breakdown. He got dominated by Charles Jourdain in his last fight. Before that, got dominated by Cub Swanson. Has had 2 fights in 5 years. Why is this guy in the UFC? I have no idea. He is awful. He's probably worse than Nick Diaz at this stage in his career. This fight should not be happening. Bryce Mitchell's going to dominate. Hence the line is minus 800. I'm sorry. Like I can't help but just be myself and be brutally honest in situations like this. I want to give you guys a deep breakdown, but I just can't. This is domination, and I don't want to go farther than that because that's all it's going to be. What do you got?
Yeah, first of all, you're going to have to put some respect on my boy Charles Jourdain, who you picked against in his last fight, and he made you look dumb when he beat Victor Henry.
Okay, relax, because I don't give a fuck about that because I got respect up. Let me finish what I'm saying. I got the best. I placed the best bet of 2024, Jean Silva plus 180 against.
Okay.
I don't give a flying
fuck. Okay, you got me there, buddy. You got me there. He's going back 2 fights now. He want to go back.
Before everybody was riding that John Silva train, I hammered that money line.
You did. Credit, whatever. Listen, we're in total agreement here. There's no way that I can't picture a way that he wins this fight. Bryce Mitchell has 100% advantage on the feet and in the wrestling department. The only way Crone Gracie wins this fight is if Bryce Mitchell just like puts his head in between his legs and gives him his arm and says, "Submit me via triangle. Go ahead, take it." There's no way like that's happening. Bryce Mitchell is not going to give him those positions. I think he's going to dominate. Like you said, not much needs to be said. I'm done. Very quick breakdown. You back?
Sorry, I'm here. Card will have fight of the year. Lock it in. Definitely possible. I'm feeling for a hype post-fight.
Yes, we need that. He delivered last time. He said, what he said? You thought the Butcher was going to lose to a French dude? Is that what he said?
Yeah, it's literally what he said.
Hey, man, he's got star power.
Mitchell's going to get knocked out with a Crone jab after. Stop it.
Nah, bro, that I tend to forget about that knockout though. I'm not gonna lie. Is this the first? That's not the first fight.
Dude, but unlike a lot of other idiotic, listen. Unlike a lot of other idiotic fighters, he took a year and about a year off.
True.
The ample amount of time off. He's a smart guy. I mean, his political views, that's a completely different story. I'm talking about when it comes to his fighting ability and, his fight IQ. He's a smart guy. Took them out of time off, and he's also facing Crone Gracie.
Yeah,
if Crone Gracie even hurts Bryce Mitchell, send me your Venmo. I will give you $10,000.
No way.
Next fight on the card, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Like, here's the thing. Is this the next fight? Yes. Here's the thing. A lot of these fights, I'm just going to move on fast. Just like this fight, just like Reyes, just like Mitchell. Why is this fight happening? I have no idea. We already saw this fight once. It was utter domination from Cyril Gane, and why would that change? It won't. Cyril Gane is only getting better, and since their first fight, Volkov has put on more size, which I do not like for him. He is very, very, very slow at this stage in his career. He's 36 years old. Usually that's when heavyweights are actually entering their prime, but I don't think it's helping Volkov in his case. I mean, you do not want to get slower against a guy like Cyril Gane, who's the master of speed. This is utter domination. Cyril Gane is going to pick him apart. Volkov will have very, very, very little success. I love the way Gane looked in his last fight against Spivak. Yes, Spivak's kind of a one-trick pony with just spamming that takedown and has 0 strikes. But it doesn't matter. Gane is way, way, way too clean. He's the best striker in the division, in my opinion. And I think he dominates this fight. What do you got?
I think the reason this fight is getting made is just because of the streak that Alexander Volkov's on. We have to acknowledge, he's looked good in his last 4 fights. The win over Jairzinho, clean win over Romanov, obviously less of a bit of a step down, still clean win. Then a lot of people, including me, I don't know about you, but I picked Tai Tuivasa to knock him out, and he, made me eat my words. Ezekiel choke, great performance. And then the most impressive one was definitely the last one. I think he was the favorite still, but to shut out Sergey Pavlovich the way he did was very, very impressive. That said, this is a rematch that I think we're not going to see a lot change between what we saw the first time and this one. I think that the styles are the same. Both of these guys are fighters that like to play like I saw this on a podcast. I don't know which one. I'm not going to take credit, but they both play the matador role. And I think they both sit back. They're not going to be the one pressing the action. They want to be the one on the counter. And I think who's better at that? We saw it the first time. Cyril Gane is a lot better at that. Just rhythm to bounce back and forth with access to all of his weapons. I think he's just faster by a wide margin. He's the more versatile guy by a wide margin. He won't get wrestled out of the octagon like I don't know who's ever done that to him. Oh, John Jones, of course. Sorry, but that's not gonna happen with Alexander Volkov. This is a very, very good stylistic matchup for Cyril Gane. It was the first time around, and it's going to be again. So I can't pick against him. I think Volkov might look a little better, might be a little more competitive this time around. But ultimately, I mean, who has the complete striking advantage? With Volkov's improvements, I think it's still Cyril Gane. You mentioned how good he looked against Spivak. He looked really good in his backyard, but this is a very, very good matchup for him. And I just think that if he loses this fight, I mean, I don't want to see his name in heavyweight, contender talks for a little minute, because he needs to prove himself against somebody. If he loses this fight, I'm saying, but a match where he should definitely get his hand raised. So I'm picking Gane.
Yeah, I agree. Bryce Mitchell is definitely not a smart guy. Bryce is so dumb. If he gets kicked, might get smarter. Definitely a possibility.
Yo, that's crazy.
Co-main event time: Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Gary. Call me crazy, but another line that I just really don't agree with. Not as crazy
you keep
as
saying that, but I want to see you.
Listen. What do you mean? I've already placed bets on Luke Haynes.
No, I know. I act on it, but pick him though. Be confident enough to pick him though. Especially in this one.
I'm not going to do that because I don't think this one is anywhere near as crazy as the other 2 or 3 that I've called the craziest lines of 2024. Excuse me. But I do think Shavkat should be at like minus 250. I don't think he should be minus 350. I think that's kind of a drag. I feel like here's the thing. Shavkat has very overrated offensive wrestling. Like, this guy isn't like a guy who chains takedowns together and's got great wrestling. He just doesn't. He's a very, very, very well-rounded fighter, but if Ian Gary can keep this fight standing, he stands a real chance. I mean, we're forgetting this guy's an extremely high-level kickboxer. I feel like the line is where it is because a lot of people saw that fight against MVP and they saw him struggle on the feet. But what people are forgetting, in my opinion, MVP is the best striker in the UFC. That's my opinion. He is incredible on the feet. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. people are forgetting that, yeah, Ian Gary looked very timid and not that good in the striking, but that's because he faced MVP. This is a fight in which Shavkat's going to drop forward. He's going to pressure him a fuck ton, throw power, jab, twos, and he's going to be able to do that with 5 rounds. But Ian Gary's a very high-level kickboxer in his own right, and he's going to hit Shavkat. Shavkat probably won't get hurt because he's got a granite chin, but there's a chance that this fight ends up being a close 5-rounder. And in that case, I mean, this line makes no sense. I mean, I'll probably take a stab on Gary. I'll pick Shavkat to win the fight. I do feel like he mixes the martial arts very well. I just don't know if he gets a finish. I'll say Shavkat by 4-5 or decision, but would I be surprised if Gary wins a decision? No. And Gary's money line right now is sitting at plus 291. Ian Gary by decision is what I feel like is his path to victory, and that is plus 700. So I feel like that's a good bet if you like Gary. I might bet that as well. We'll see. What do you got?
100% agree that the path to victory for Gary is by decision. I don't see him finishing Shavkat. Look, there's something to be said about who Shavkat's faced up to this point, the win over Thompson. But there's an asterisk. Wasn't he hurt? Didn't he have a severe lower body injury in that fight that kind of hindered his wrestling a little bit? I think that's something to acknowledge in that Thompson fight, which he still ended up winning by finish. But before that, dominated Jeff Neal. Obviously, the stand-up was competitive, but man, the wrestling and what you said, he mixes it up so great. He chains his striking with his grappling so well, and I just think that's going to be the difference. Who is the more complete fighter? These guys, well, Gary said that they've trained together. They kind of have a feel for how they operate. But to your point, this guy, Shavkat, it's not like Gary looked timid and hesitant in the striking versus MVP. He looked like that a little bit at moments in the Jeff Neal fight, which I don't think you can say about Shavkat at all. He was throwing the whole fucking kitchen sink at him. And I just think that overall, like, he's got way more in the arsenal in terms of his ability to catch you off guard with one of those off strikes, that spinning kick, that jumping kick, something like that, a trip or a sweep on the feet to get Ian Machado Gary confused. Those are the type of things that we're dealing with such a high. I just think he's a higher level martial artist based off of what I've seen. Not only will in a 5-round fight where I'm not sure how either of these guys fare too well in a 5-round environment. We haven't seen either of them fight in that kind of setting too often. But who do I trust more? The guy that has a clear advantage on the ground. I think the clear advantage in the jiu-jitsu department and more power and more technical ability on the feet in a 5-round environment. I got to side with Shavkat Rakhmonov. So I think the finishing potential is there. Maybe the line's a little stretched based on Ian's undefeated, but he has not impressed me, man. The Jeff Neal fight, I was not impressed with Ian Gary in that fight. I was not. The Michael Venom Page, he won unanimous decision. There were scary moments that Shavkat will not let him get away with. Like, I think those are things that I'm thinking about here as the separators between these two guys. I just think that Shavkat is going to find a way to win this fight because, look, if it goes to a decision, I'd be shocked. I think he's going to finish him. The more I'm talking, I think he's going to finish him. I think we've seen Ian Gary hurt. Song Kanan dropped him. Page caught him a few times. Jeff Neal, hit him. I think he's very hittable on the feet. I think Shavkat's going to catch him. And if he doesn't catch him, he's going to submit him. I think he finishes this fight in a 5-round fight. He makes a statement, and a needed statement.
Fair. I'm not going to fight it. There's a reason he's Shavkat. There's a reason he's a favorite. I just think Gary has a real chance. Gary and Shavkat have both only beat Cans. Ian Gary by decision is a sneaky. I don't think
I wouldn't say Jeff Neal. Yeah, Jeff Neal is not a can, and the version of Jeff Neal that Shavkat fought.
Although he has no takedown defense, he's definitely not a can. Shut up,
no, he's not.
Get out of here. Shoot. I'm kidding. Please stay. We love you. I agree with Lucas. That line is wild. Gary, more technical and underrated BJJ. I agree with that 100%. Plus Bronx corner. I mean, I don't really think that matters. Everybody at fucking that gym is on an immense amount of steroids, but he's definitely more technical. I 100% agree with you there.
Okay, yeah, I think I might have said that the other way. I think, yeah, revising my statement, Gary might be the more technical guy, but that doesn't mean his defensive striking is technical, and I think that's where he needs a little bit of improvement.
Neal rocked Shavkat. He did rock Shavkat. But Neal's got a lot of fucking power as well, I'll tell you that. I don't know if Gary's
steel, baby. That's hands of steel.
I don't know if Gary has Neil power, but he's definitely more technical. So I'll tell you that.
True. Shop top,
Michael
baby.
Bryan saying, "Gentlemen, I stand with Connor. Please look up the facts." Did you say something about Connor? Or what?
Oh no! Oh no! What?
Although I kind of did. You see you know the whole thing about Connor, right? Like,
Yeah, I know.
bro. Apparently, did you see like the quote that apparently Connor said to the girl while they were doing whatever illegal activity they were doing? He said, allegedly, he said to the girl, "This is how I tap to Khabib 3 times."
Oh, I did see that.
There's
Yeah,
no
like he was
way.
threatening her.
There's no way he actually said that.
Bro, I mean,
You
no,
believe? I don't
that's
buy it.
crazy. You got to take those stories for what we don't know, but that shit is crazy. If he did, that's a crazy quote to even just mention. That's wild. That's wild. Hey man, we'll leave that alone.
Low key, not gonna bet on this matchup.
Yeah, the Shopcot price, you were talking about it. If you're on the Shopcot side, it's a little scary.
Michael O'Brien, that is just get the fuck out of here with that shit, bro. I'm not even gonna put it on the screen. Just shut the fuck up. Even if Shavkat wins, not that much bang for the buck. I mean, Shavkat's becoming a massive star in the UFC. I'll tell you that. So a win alone will boost him here. I just wish this fight was for an interim belt, to be honest.
Man, that's what I thought when I first saw 5 rounds. I was like, is this an interim title fight? And they missed the opportunity to do that. I mean, they did it for the heavyweight division, but I mean, how long is Bilal out? He had a severe toe injury. We saw it. I mean, yeah, I
don't know. This is one I can't get behind, Michael. Thoughts on Pat Barry grooming Rose?
That did happen.
Yeah,
that is a thing that occurred. Yeah,
yapping too much here. We love you, chat, but we got to move on. We've got Pantoja, Asakura. Where's Kai? Kai Asakura was in our chat about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, he's gone. He dipped to go to training, I guess.
Yo, this guy Michael is chatting. Stop. We don't do pedophilia over here. Yeah, this fight is so fucking interesting to me, Rohan. Because we haven't seen Asakura at flyweight in a fucking minute, and he's already a pretty big bantamweight. I mean, he's 5'8". He's got some size. So, no, he's not that big of a bantamweight. He weighed in at 133 at his last fight. But regardless, I mean, when you're cutting from bantamweight to flyweight, it's a tough cut regardless of who you are. We saw TJ Dillashaw, who was like a 5'6" bantamweight, try to cut down to flyweight and need an immense amount of steroids to try to make it, and still looked like a fucking corpse on the scale. This is going to be a tough cut for Asakura. I see this fight playing out in two ways and two ways only. Asakura has so much fucking power, especially if he does make this weight and this fight will be on after the weigh-ins. I guarantee you Asakura will hurt Pantoja badly in either round 1 or round 2, most likely round 1. And he could definitely finish the fight, but if he doesn't, I mean, Pantoja's winning this fight in round 2, round 3, round 4. Simple as that. This fight is not getting to round 5 in my eyes. Now, what's more likely? Does Asakura get that early finish, or does Pantoja kind of drag it out over that 1.5 and find a late-ish finish? I'm going to side with Pantoja. It's just that weight cut really, really worries me. Asakura already doesn't have the best takedown defense. We saw in that fight against Juan Archuleta that he did get taken down, although he did end up finishing the fight. Archuleta was able to take him down. Archuleta is a good fighter, former Bellator fighter. I'm curious, is he still in that organization? I'm not sure. But Pantoja, man, the more that he is able to get his takedowns going, I feel like he'll drain Kai Asakura here. I feel like that weight cut might be a problem here, big time. And I think Pantoja, he's got a granite chin. I do think he gets hurt, but I don't think he gets finished. And I think he finds a finish in round 2 or round 3. That's my official prediction. Rohan, what do you got?
Look, man, I think this is a very interesting fight. I'm very excited to see if Kai Asakura is the real deal. I think that's what we're out to find out. But number one, I just got to say, the flyweight division right now, man, is popping in a way that we haven't seen. And I'm just looking at Pantoja's resume, and that's what makes it so tough to pick against him because Steve Ursig, Royval, Moreno, Perez, Royval again, and Manel Kopp. I mean, he's taken out a row of killers and made it look relatively, clean. And a lot of those fights, I think obviously there were scares with the Moreno one, scares even with the Ursig one. A lot of people thought it could have gone the other way had Ursig done some things a little differently. The Royval one was, a crazy fight. He's had so many wars now at this point. He's 34 years old, birthday soon. There's some questions, but there's more questions on the Asakura side, right? And that's why when you're asking who you're gonna pick, it's tough to just straight up, think this guy is gonna walk in and take out such a proven champion in his first fight in the promotion. Like he hasn't really faced this level of competition on the regional scene. Obviously, competing in Ryzen, that's no joke. Like that's an incredible promotion. But again, you're not going to be able to see the same type of grappling competition that you are in the UFC. And this guy is arguably the best grappler, arguably the best submission artist actively in the sport, in the promotion. That to be walking into that in your first fight is a tall task. That's all I got to say. It's a tall task. So from a pick, I really like the way you broke that down. By the way, I don't see this fight going to decision either. I think there's so much violence that's going to both of these guys are capable. Excuse me. Let me rephrase of so much violence, and there's such a big gap on the ground. And also, we've got questions about Pantoja's chin. We've got questions about how Asakura will fare in a 5-round fight at a lower weight class that he hasn't made in some years. That there's so much volatility in this matchup. But there's more on the Asakura side, which for me is why it's harder to pick him than it is Pantoja, who has just proven time and time again that he will find a way to win. He might not have the cleanest performance. He might get hurt a few times, but at the end of the day, he will come back and he will do what needs to be done to get his hand raised. And I think in this fight where he has such an obvious advantage, like you said, he's got to survive. He's got to survive that early storm. That a lot of these look, man, that's the case for a lot of these fights on this card, but this is definitely the case for Pantoja. He's going to be under some real fire early on, but once he gets through that, if he gets through that, I think it's going to be easy for him from there because the takedowns will start to become easier and easier and easier. So I'm in agreement with you, man. I do think that I'll stop talking, bro. I think that Pantoja is the real deal. I think he wins, and Asakura will not make that statement win because that would be fucking crazy. When's the last time that happened? Anderson Silva is the last time somebody walked into a title shot like that.
Silva did not walk into a title shot. His debut was against Chris Lieben.
Oh, all right. So it was a second fight under the.
This might be the first time it's ever happened.
So we're in unfucking charted waters then, yeah. Even
how about Brock Lesnar? Did Lesnar walk into?
Oh, that's a good. I
don't know. Hold on, let me look. Did he? He might have.
But again, this is fucking like this is just rare air that this guy is in. So if this happened, I don't know. It'd be a real feat for sure.
Yeah, he did. No, he didn't walk. This is the first time.
Holy shit, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. I thought for some reason in my mind Anderson Silva, but there's no way. Like you said, Chris Lieben was not no champ. But that's crazy. It would be insane. But we're both on the same page, yeah.
Yeah, I like Pantoja. I think Asakura stands a real chance. But here's the thing. Steve Ursig, I had a big bet on Steve Ursig against Pantoja, and man, that coaching in that fight was so fucking bad. Like, why did Ursig shoot a takedown in round 5? The difference between that Ursig fight and Asakura fight, the line is very similar, but Asakura has nowhere near the same cardio as Ursig. Ursig was throwing fucking popping the jab, popping the two in round 5. Asakura does not have that. I think Asakura has a shit ton of power and can finish this fight early. But Pantoja, although he's getting older, has a granite chin. And it's going to be an interesting one, but I'll pick Pantoja to find a round 3 finish. It's going to be my prediction.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comments in the chat. Yeah, Michael, we'd gladly take your money for your stupid fucking comments. But we're not there yet. We got to grow a little bit more. Shout out to you, though. We appreciate it. Pantoja will win by submission and then deliver me Popeye's signature. How except the former Uber Eats driver. Shout out Pantoja. Urseg won on damage, maybe.
That's what I'm saying, man. That but again, that's an outlier. I think Steve Urseg is somebody that's cut from a different cloth, way better cardio. And oh man, he got knocked the fuck out in his last fight. That makes me really sad. Whatever.
Jeff Molina. Okay, bro.
This is crazy, bro. That one made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, because I was yapping, but the rest,
hilarious.
the rest of them are crazy. Oh my god.
Whatever happened to him? Is he still fighting?
Molina?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen that dude since the incident. If that's what we got.
Bro, he vanished off the face of the earth.
I would too. Shit. That's crazy.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since 2022. Poor guy. Bring him back. Bring back Jeff. They're telling you put the fries in the bag.
That's what I'm saying. That one, when I was reading it during my little lecture, I was like, all right, I need to shut up. But still, that was the most PG comment I think Michael has had. So I like it.
Bautista or Pereira? We're talking about Mario Batista.
Mario Bautista.
Mario Batista. I'm gonna go Mario. I think the way he enters on his takedowns,
that control, that clinch control,
takedown defense, the most overrated fighter in UFC history. So I'm gonna start with Mario Batista on that one. Damn right. I'm just gonna speed through these. O'Brien, who's the lock of the night? Mr. O'Brien says Dominic Reyes. I actually 100% agree with you.
Oh yeah, yes sir. We're on the same page.
It's either Reyes or Gone in my eyes. I mean, I don't know if we're counting Bryce Mitchell. He's almost a minus 1,000.
No. Like reasonable price.
Reasonable prices. It's him or Gone.
Yeah.
Thoughts on MMA Joey? I don't. What is that?
Yeah, they mentioned that earlier. I was like, who is that?
I don't know. What that is.
Joey talking wild. Who is that?
I don't know. Educate me. Molina Pins. Whatever. Shout out Michael. Shout out everybody in the chat. I think that's it. I'm going Pantoja.
I'm going Pantoja.
I got to see Asakura on the scale though. I want to see him on the scale. I want to see how drained he looks.
True. That's a great talking point ahead of the fight. But a very fun.
Thank you for that.
No, it is. It's something to watch. I'm giving you credit, but it's a great matchup and a great card. I think top to bottom, there's a lot of really fun fights, and I'm excited for some violence. Let's get it.
Chat, get all your comments out before we sign off. We will be live either tomorrow night or Friday afternoon to do our parlay stream where we put together a bunch of Hail Mary parlays. UFC 305, I believe it was. We cashed like a plus 3,000.
That was the last time. Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but we're back. We're gonna be back here. It's the best show. We just keep fucking forgetting about it. But we'll let you guys know. We'll post it on our Instagram, and we'll try to give earlier notice. I apologize, FBA. We'll try. We'll figure it out. Should we just do it tomorrow night? Should we just commit to it right now?
Yeah, like I'm down. I'm down.
Tomorrow night. We'll be back tomorrow night. So we'll see. We'll be able to see Michael. Yeah. Let's do that. We'll be back tomorrow. Parlay stream. If you guys want to make some money, tune into that. Ching Chong dude not beating Pantoja, but in the outside. If Royval has a step in, what was the prediction?
Oh, is he back up?
Is he? If Royval steps in for Asakura, I think Pantoja demolishes Royval again because Royval is 0 takedown defense.
Royval's gonna win on 4 hours notice.
Molina was caught doing certain acts.
Yeah, you got to look that one up for yourself, gang. Go just search Jeff Molina name up on Google and you'll find
Royval is definitely not the best flyweight considering he got dominated by Pantoja twice. Second best, I'll give you that. That's all we got, folks. That's all we got. Everybody in here tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow around the same time, probably a little bit earlier, like
earlier.
This is our breakdown stream, what we're doing right now. Tomorrow we'll have our parlay stream. Hail Mary parlays. It gets fun. It gets super fun. Michael, this one's got to go. I'm sorry. That one's got to go. But thank you guys very much. Rohan, any final words for the people?
Hey, man, we might witness history this weekend if Asakura gets the job done. I'm on the other side. But either way, it's a great card. Enjoy. Stay tuned. More content, IG, YouTube. You know where to find us. But yeah, enjoy, guys.
Shout out Michael.
Shout out Michael. Shout out Michael. Blessing the chat with his presence tonight.
Lucas versus Rohan for the atomweight belt.
Oh, nah, you're right. Yo, that's a great shout. Yo, we should do that. We
I
should
could
do
probably
that.
cut to atomweight. How much am I? I'm probably like what, like 165 right now.
Just so y'all know, the line for this fight would be, I think I'd be a minus what, like 1,000. We might be looking at like a Chase Hooper type line, like Chase Hooper, Clay Guida. I'm Chase Hooper. I think that's what.
But you don't like that pressure though.
You're right. You're right. Okay, you got me. But that's your little glimmer of hope. Just like Chase Hooper, you don't like pressure, but still, he got all the tools. He got
minus,
all the
I feel like minus 13.
Minus 2,000 is crazy.
We'll top it off there. 2v1 MMA Guru. 1v1 Rohan versus MMA Guru. I don't think you understand. This guy Rohan's been doing MMA since he was like 3.
Bro. I got that.
Absolutely slaughtered. Me on the other hand, I'm just, I just know.
Hey, you getting started. You just get started.
Thank you guys very much. We're out of here. See you guys tomorrow. Make sure you turn notifications on. Dave, before we sign off, everybody, notifications on right now so we can get this chat going tomorrow as well. It's been a blast, though. Yeah. I forgot the fucking outro music. God damn it.
Hey, like, subscribe, share, all that. Spread the love. You know what to do.
Words of motivation from Rohan. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye.
Peace.